Q, Raheem, Steele, and Bishop make up a crew of high school kids from New York City. Bishop gets ran up on by Rodriguez and his gang. He plays tough long enough for Raheem and Q to come to his rescue. When things escalate into a scuffle, store owner Quills clears things up with that heat. They move on to Tripp's pool hall. Inside, Q pushes his latest mixtape to a local fan while Bishop exerts dominance over Steele, the weaker member of the group. Bishop and Q lead the police on a chase through the streets, the apartments, and onto a rooftop. They make a risky jump to evade capture. Q gets no love when he shares his intent to enter the upcoming DJ contest. Steele points out that the competition is too stacked with seasoned DJs. Bishop and Raheem think his ambitions are way too high. The fellas steal records for the DJ contest as Q distracts the thirsty cashier. Old gal was ahead of her time talking about getting them full front grills. Afterwards, they send Q into the bar to get a pack of smokes. Inside, Q sees Blizzard, a hood cat. He and Q chit-chat, but Blitz cuts his shot and breaks out a shotgun. He offers Q a piece of the action. Q declines and backs that ass up out of the bar. He tells the fellas what's going down inside, and Bishop makes a beeline towards the door. Raheem stops him. Bishop gripes over the missed opportunity for some quick cash. Back at Steele's crib, Bishop is getting way too hype over the movie on the TV. Inspired, Bishop preaches his philosophy of dying on your shield. The news reports that Blizzard was killed in that bar robbery. Bishop goes on a rant. He's done with backing down. He begins to question his friend's manhood. Bishop blames them for not having Bishop's back. When Q tries to insert some common sense, Bishop turns his wrath towards him. Things get physical, but Raheem makes the two friends squash it. That ain't gonna take. Q finds Raheem waiting outside his door. Raheem tells him that the guys are having a meeting at the park. Q lets him know that he'll be there, but only after his DJ audition. Raheem wishes him success. Q earns a spot in the competition. He then goes to meet the fellas at the park to share his good news, but the fellas have a whole different vibe. They tell him that they've decided to rob old man Quill's store. Q thinks that they're joking, but he realizes that they're dead serious when Raheem arrives with a pistol. Bishop's possession of the gun seems to have caused a sinister transformation. For Q, this ain't the move. He tries every which way to back out without actually backing out, and Bishop's patience with him is over. They plan to use Q's DJ performance as an alibi for the time of the robbery. The DJ competition goes off and Q wins his first round matchup. When he exits the booth, the guys are waiting for him. They make it to Quill's store and begin the stick up. Bishop has Quills at gunpoint. Q is on lookout and Raheem grabs the money. Everything's going off without a hitch, but Bishop shoots Quills just for the hell of it. They break out. At the meetup spot, they go in on Bishop about killing Quills. When they propose ditching the murder weapon, Bishop refuses to hand over the gun. When Raheem tries to take it, Bishop pops him in the chest. They hear sirens and break out, but not before Bishop goes to empty Raheem's pockets. Raheem makes a final death clutch at Bishop before dying. As they settle up their score, Q and Steele are in shock. Bishop unsuccessfully tries to justify his action. This cat done gone all the way crazy. They stick to their plan of getting back to the contest to secure their alibi. Before Q can begin the second round contest, the cops interrupt and take the guys down to the station. Q plays his role and gives the cops nothing. Steele, well, he's doing just about as well as you would expect. Bishop seems to relish the entire song and dance. He manages to shift some of the heat of the murders towards Rodriguez's gang. Bishop shows up at Raheem's wake and comforts the grieving mother right in front of Q. This madman has got some nerve. Q been trying to avoid Bishop, but Bishop sneaks up on him at his locker. He lets Q know that if he goes down, they all go down. Q bucks up at Bishop, which only prompts his amusement. Crazy people don't scare easy. Bishop wants all the smoke. Rodriguez corners Bishop about putting heat on him for the recent murders. When Steele and Q see it going down, they do a 180. Bishop makes note. The cops arrive and everyone scrams. Bishop finds himself in the same alley as Rodriguez, and yep, he adds another body to his murder spree. Q goes underground to buy a gun for protection. After being pressured by Bishop to hang out, Steele manages to break free just long enough to make a distress call to Q. Bishop takes Steele behind the pool hall. He shoots Steele and leaves him for dead. Bishop then goes to Tripp and puts the early word on the street that Q is responsible for the murders. Steele survives the gunshot and manages to stumble out of the alley. By the time Q finds him, Steele is already being loaded into the ambulance. Word on the street is already spread and the crowd fingers Q. Q turns up at Tripp's pool hall. Tripp tells Q that word on the street is that he killed Quills, Raheem, and Rodriguez. Q pleads his case to a suspicious Tripp. He asks Tripp to get a message to Bishop for a meetup. On the way to the meet up, Q damn near shoots a homeless cat. He realizes that this cowboy life ain't in him, and he tosses the gun. At the hospital, Steele tells who it was that shot him. While Q waits for Bishop, Bishop sneaks up on him and has him on point. But instead of shooting him, Bishop starts talking shit, and Q manages to run off. Q escapes into an elevator, but Bishop joins the ride. You know a brother's crazy when he faces the opposite way in the elevator. Q tests Bishop's crazy and almost gets shot, but the elevator mob gets in the way. They scuffle, Bishop loses the gun, and he flees. Q and Bishop end up on the rooftop. When Bishop's surprise attack fails, he finds himself hanging from the roof. Q tries to save him, but gravity is a bitch. Bishop falls to his death. As Q returns inside the building, a kid from the onwatching crowd tells him now he has the juice.